Welcome on in. This is Off the Edge with Cam Jordan. I'm super excited. The Saints are coming off of a bye week. We got things to do. Here we are. We're laser in, locked in on the team coming up on Sunday. And this Sunday is my favorite week because it's the week I get to hate the most. It's Atlanta versus the Saints. It's the Falcons and the Saints. This is the rivalry week. This is the week that you don't know what you're getting into when you get down to the South. But it takes all love but one game to realize that there's some animosity there. You know, the great back and forth from Michael Turner's to Julio Jones to the man who was willing and dealing for so many years, who I get to present to you as my guest this week, who understands the rivalry. This is Matt Ryan. We're talking about an All-Pro, a 4-time Pro Bowler, a guy who was a league MVP, and now he's an NFL analyst for CBS Sports, where I sort of got to sit in his seat on my bye week. You know, while he was out there in Denver, calling the game, whatever that is, I was out there in New York, sitting in his seat. I said, it was a little comfy. I said, but I can't let it get too comfy. I got to get back to work. So we had practice yesterday. Here we are, Matt. I appreciate you tapping in. And it's such a great weekend for me and you to talk.
Yeah. You and I were talking about it a little bit over the weekend. I think it's one of the most underrated rivalries in the NFL. And you kind of alluded to it at the beginning. I didn't know anything about it until I got to Atlanta, and we played New Orleans as a rookie, and Mike Smith, our head coach, did hey, this week is different, and had former Falcons come on and talk about the rivalry and all of this. And I was sitting there as a rookie being I had no idea. And then got to play in that game, and it does feel different. Both cities are so into it. But I think it's one of the most underrated rivalries in the league. And you and I were part of it for a long time. You're still going. You're still doing your thing, which is incredible. And I'm glad you got out of my seat so you can go back and get some more sacks.
Yeah.
Hopefully not that many this weekend, but get some more sacks and keep getting after it.
Hey, as long as I keep adding to this total, I'm just trying to close the distance. They say I'm top 20. I'm like, what is it? I got to get to this top 15, whatever that looks like. We'll take it 1 week at a time. This week, it's different. Is there a rivalry between Boston College? Who's the Boston College rivalry? Cal, we got Stanford. You know what I'm saying? I've always had one laser focus. I hate this team. You have who?
So ours at BC was Syracuse in the old Big East. You got to remember, when I went to Boston College,
East, right.
We were in the old Big East when I started there. And so it was Virginia Tech, Miami, Pitt, West Virginia, Syracuse, Boston College, Rutgers. That was sort of the setup in football. And so the big one for us up there was Syracuse. And then we left and went to the ACC, and it took a little bit of time for Syracuse to then come back into the ACC. So that's sort of the rivalry that's big, but it's not comparable. It's not the big game. It's not Cal Stanford. It's not that.
Look, I've got a brother-in-law that went to BC. Kasim Edabali, defensive end, was a teammate of mine for a couple of years. Married my sister. Yeah, good player. Come off the edge. Now he's in Germany, killing it, being an analyst. Well, he's the U over there.
That's one of the things BC historically did pretty well was defensive line and O-line. When you look across the league, when you do those game plans, you tend to see a lot of guys from Boston College playing on the defensive line, playing on the offensive line. We maybe not the skill positions, but that's all right. We were okay there, solid, right. But certainly had a bunch of O and D linemen.
Ah, man, the church work is where the dreams work. And then, of course, you come up as the premier Boston College quarterback for Atlanta Falcons for so long. In fact, let me preface this. How is it transitioning from football to CBS analysts, color commentary? What does that switch up like? Does homework change up a little bit?
Oh, for sure.
Dissecting defenses and knowing the entire team.
Yeah, it's interesting. So my first year out, I called games for CBS, and I watched a ton of film as a player, but it was always just one defense. And then you start watching film to get prepared to call a game, and you're like, oh my God, I have so much work to do. I've got two defenses I've got to watch. I've got to watch these offenses because I don't know what's going on. I don't know what they're doing and trying to figure out what they're doing. And then for the first time in my life, I watched special teams because I never watched a snap of special teams.
What?
I
love a good hit anywhere.
What's that? Yeah. I would sit in one special teams meeting a year as a quarterback, which was the first of training camp. and they would, go through like the whole team sitting in there. And that was the last time I was in a teams meeting the entire season. So like I had to figure out what was going on special teams. So that first year calling games was a lot of film, a ton of film of getting prepped for those teams that we were calling. But then I switched into the studio last year, and it was my first year doing the pregame show on the NFL Today on CBS. And then it was a massive switch because, as a player for so long, you're just focused on your own team and the matchup that you have that week. And you might see like highlights from around the league and just pick up on a few things here and there, but you don't know like the storylines of all the other teams.
You're not all the way locked in.
Yeah, you're not. You just kind of see it from a surface level. And now, doing the studio show, it's like I'm consuming the league like a fan now, where it's like I know the storylines, I know what's going on with the coaches, I know what's going on, with the locker room conflicts, and we're talking about them and trying to give our perspective. So it's been a change, but it's been a ton of fun. You've been a part of it, right? You've been on the show with us on the NFL Today. You were on the NFL Today Plus this past weekend. The people at CBS are awesome. The people you get to work with are incredible. So it's been fun. I've enjoyed that part of it.
No doubt. I was like, and you went to a straight out of retirement, like from working to working. What was that decision like? You leave Atlanta, you go over to Indianapolis, and you're like, you know what? TV.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't know what I was going to do because my year in Indy didn't go as planned, neither for the team or myself. And so it ended a lot faster than I thought. In your head, you have this idea like maybe I'll go there, maybe I'll play 2 or 3 years, ends up only being 1 season there. And so the end happened faster. And for whatever reason, I wasn't ready to just stop doing anything, and had the opportunity to keep busy that first year. Didn't fully retire, kind of kept my options open in case something, were to come up, but nothing did. And I really enjoyed what I was doing. So for me, it felt like the right thing to do to just keep moving, and keep busy, at that time. Cause I think it. And listen, man, you're busier. You're very busy. Even, as a player, you're active, and I think it's great. And you're doing things in different spaces, which I think is really cool. But I operate better when I'm busy, and when I've got too much free time, I'm not at my best.
Right, absolutely. I mean, we just talk about going from how being an analyst changed your ways because you're studying film, you're breaking down everybody, not just the other 11. No, all phases of the game. Does that keep you up on like the new rule changes as well? Like how the format for the kickoff has changed, how the roughing the passers. Yeah, it's changed. I mean, when
I knew
you first
it would take only a little bit of time to get roughing the passer with you, and I was going to get your comments on it. I sat with JJ last year, JJ Watt. He was all over it every week. Coach Cower, same way. But
think about it. You entered the league and you were getting smoked, blindside, smoked. They look back like, ha. And now it's like, hey, do you mind if I tackle you? Can I put you down?
I think it's even crazy. I think, it's one thing when you're a player, when you're a quarterback, I'd be lying if I told you I didn't like the rule changes. I was sitting there and I was like, you know what? That's probably a good thing. No. But I watch it now with a different perspective, and you see how difficult it is, to avoid some of the calls, and how the refs really are conditioned to throw it, right? And to protect the quarterback. And I do think, my perspective has changed on it. And that's probably because I'm not sitting in the pocket anymore, having to take those hits, but it has changed. And I do feel for you guys, because I think those rule changes have made it really difficult for you guys. There's like this small little target that you have to hit, and you can only hit it for so long, but you can only hit it so hard. You can't take it to the ground. And it's really, really difficult.
No doubt. I mean, just being a defender, it seems like there's always more and more impeding infractions on us than the offensive side.
Yeah, that's true. They want points, man. They want points.
Just tell us straight up, hey guys, you guys are here to just to sort of be around. We don't want you to take over. Is there any like friendly rivalry competition between you? Of course, there's a myriad of quarterbacks in this league that have joined the analyst side, whether it be Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Troy Aikman been doing it probably longer than I've been alive. Tony Romo. Like, is there like a hey, I want to be the best still in effect?
I think all of us have a certain level of pride, when you're asked to go perform, whether that is going out there and performing on Sundays and throwing the football around and trying to be as good as you can be and be the best. And then I think the same goes true for when you go on air. You want to be able to, go on there and do a great job and provide insight and entertain people that are listening and are tuning in. So yeah, I think there is. I don't think it's as personal, as playing. Yeah. They can get personal playing, right? Where you're going against somebody for a long time. Like I see Drew going in now and he's doing games for Fox, which I think he'll do great. Mm-hmm. But I would have never said that as a player, right? Like, right. Oh man, I'm so happy for Drew. He's doing great. And I love Drew. He's, just a good person and obviously was such a great quarterback. But the level of competitiveness, I think, is not quite the same in the broadcast space as it is on the field.
Absolutely. I mean, level of pettiness, maybe. Like,
well, I think the difference, Cam, is, at least from my perspective, you root for everybody to do well when you're done. Mm-hmm. You want everybody to be on air, be doing a great job, and you want to do that yourself, of course. But I'm not always sure that's the case when you're playing. I think that's never the case. Mad about 5 picks from Drew.
Yeah, that makes happen often. Yeah, look, it's now we're getting towards where I want to talk to, anyways. Alluding to Sunday, I dropped you the portrait, the gift. It was beautiful while you were in Denver.
I was surprised, dude. I was surprised. Do you know who painted it? They did a great job.
I was like, I have no idea. Like, CBS was like, hey man, you in on this? I was like, yeah, I'm always in on harassing a quarterback, even a great guy like you. Absolutely.
You know what's funny? They asked you if you were in on it. They didn't ask me if I was in on it.
They didn't let you know, like, hey, Cam's.
They didn't give me any heads up. I had no idia that was coming. I opened it up. I'm like, Really?
I thought you were going to swing. I was like, look, I was going to be a receiver. I was going to be Julio Jones. I was going to go catch it. I'll take it back. No worries.
Whoever painted it did a good job, though, man. You look good in it.
I appreciate CBS for letting me partake in that. And then, of course, I figured you didn't take the portrait home. You probably left it there.
No, they're sending it to me. They're sending it home to me. They're sending it home to me. I don't know what I'm going to. I got a fireplace at the house. I might throw it in.
I'll say. Let the boys.
I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with it, but it's coming home. It's coming back to the crib.
The boys and a paintball gun. The great equalizer.
That's right.
Say that.
That's exactly right. It's a dartboard. Your face is the dartboard now.
I figured that's where we're going. Which is perfectly because we talk about rivalries early on. Then talk about the studio. Back to this rivalry. It's Atlanta hate week. For you. As a quarterback, do you feel the spur between the two cities, the two teams?
Oh, I felt it for sure as a player. And for most of my career, it was going against you on the defensive side of the ball for so long, but also Drew, and knowing, it was going to be tough going against them. And Sean Payton was there for such a long time during that portion of it too. So, we had some, honestly, we had some great battles.
Yeah.
We talk about both those football teams being really good from the time you entered the league until, 2017, 2018 for us. We had a nice little run there. It was competitive. It was a good football team. And the same being said for you guys, right? Like different stretches where you're as good as there is in the league. So I think that added to it. I think, throughout the 2010s, that was a battle that went back and forth, and you could then feel it with the cities too, right? You would see kind of the extra that would come with it, and I always thought that was fun to be a part of. That's what I
want to know. Like in New Orleans, there's going to be like a second line that happens after we beat y'all. Like it's leading up to the week. I'm headed up to the condo, and I got stopped 3 or 4 times. I just got done with a school visit this morning, and the kids were like, "Hey, we got to beat the Birds." I'm like, they already know. I'm talking to 4th and 5th grade kids, and they're already like, yeah, hey, as long as we will beat the Birds. Just like, I know we're in a bad season right now, but we can turn around because it starts with the Birds. I'm like, okay. I was like, these 11, 12-year-olds are locked in, whether that be Madden, whether it be whatever it is. They're like, yeah, I'm going to the game this week because I know we're going to get a win.
Yeah, you feel it here in Atlanta, too. You do feel it here in Atlanta where it's like, we're going against the Aints, boys, and you got to take the Aints down, right? The S is never in there. But I remember, I'm not sure if you were on the team yet or not, but I remember like it was kind of at the beginning of Twitter, beginning of Instagram, whatever. You guys were coming in here late in the season, And I remember people at the airport started like egging the plane or something like that when you guys landed.
I think that was my rookie or second year in the league. And right when we landed, they like pelted the buses we were getting on with dozens of eggs. And I was like, well, that's just dumb. We're already on the bus. And this is your bus. We're in Georgia.
You screwed it up.
I was like, this
didn't make the most sense.
You're not affecting us technically. Like this is a Georgia company.
But yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, you're hurting your own. Maybe we should have reconsidered what we did. But
no doubt.
Nonetheless, it means a lot.
No doubt.
It does mean a lot.
They went out their way to meet us at the airport for this. I said, okay.
It's so much so, even my family would feel it, like. We
got to do it. We got to do it this week.
Yes, 100%. I get on the phone with my dad or whatever during the week, and he's like, hey, man, like, you got to take care of business this week. And you're like, Dad, I got to take care of business every week. He's like, no, this week. You got to take care of business this week.
I hear about
like, all right, he feels it.
Absolutely, man. I mean, two of your top 6 performances of all times came against us. One in 2014 when I think our defense coordinator was Rob Ryan at the time. 2012, Spagnuolo. Both times, not like, historically speaking, you look back at it on defense for us, wasn't great. Some would say historically the worst, and you took advantage. 2014, threw for 448 yards, 3 tutties, a 1 in overtime. Like, we were still fighting back, but it's fine.
No, it was back and forth, man. We needed every one of them right here, just going deep over the top to Roddy White.
Is that Roddy White? Oh,
Roddy White.
Oh my God! Look at my.
Listen, we got the big fella involved right here, Mike Johnson with the touchdown pass.
And how do you not defend offensive lineman? My 10-year-old cannot defend offensive lineman. Now, a 50-50 ball from Julio Jones, lethal to any and everybody. That 50-50 is really 99-1.
We would say it's 100-100. That's how we would talk about those moon balls to Julio.
That's not fair. Like, just 6'4", ran a 4.3, 40-inch vert. Just OD.
He was different, man. Julio was different. And I learned something, playing in the league, that there's good players and then there's the elite of the elite. And he was that, just the size, the speed, the strength, his ability to go up and make plays on ball, as physically gifted and as tough a competitor as anybody I ever played with.
No doubt.
All right, when's your highlight reel coming up? I know you got one.
I'm glad you asked, because it counts here your 400-yard game.
This is the first time you ever showed some of my highlights, though, when we've been together. So I appreciate that.
I'm trying to be unbiasedly, biased here.
Yes, I love it.
But of course, you would talk about one or the other thing. Thanksgiving games. You talk about the Thanksgiving game, 2019, Week 13. Saints go in.
That was like a gift I just went down for you. So,
you gave me the layup.
I gave you the layup.
4 sacks. 4 sacks, 2 in the fourth quarter, 3 in the fourth quarter, something like that.
Head off. I got to change my cadence. I wasn't doing a good enough job with the cadence. You got off on it there.
Yeah, I mean, especially when the time clock goes down below 5 seconds. Like, there's no switching it up. At that point, I'm getting off fast at offensive line because I know already the next sound has to be a go.
Yes. You were right. I was wrong. That was the problem with playing offense. That shot clock keeps going down. The play clock keeps going down. At some point, you have to snap the ball.
No doubt.
And it looked like in a couple of those clips, I didn't want to snap the ball. I didn't want to. I knew what was coming. I didn't want to do it.
This poor tackle. Like, like, oh, man. It's just, got this big fella that's about to get worked over. But I've always said I rush the quarterback. I don't rush offensive linemen. Like, you can name your entire offensive line. I'm sure there's some good guys out there. But what makes an O-line good to me is the quarterback. Like, because at some point, 2015, you were getting the ball off under 2.4 seconds. Was that headed towards that MVP year or whatever it was, you were unstoppable, it seemed like. It's like, I could beat the tackle, I could beat a guard and still not get there. I could win cleanly and not get there. It was frustrating playing.
Well, that was the way I had to play, right? I didn't have the skill set to be able to extend and kind of take off and pick up chunks with my legs. And so the way I was always going to be successful was understanding how to get the ball out of my hand, put it in playmakers' hands in space, and try and give them the opportunity to do it. But inevitably, there always comes a time where you need to take a shot downfield. And you need to push the ball down the field vertically.
Absolutely.
And that's where you ate. All right. Sometimes you got to hold it onto it for 3 seconds. And we knew that was going to be a challenge. But you get into those kind of games. And I always give I've said it to you a million times. I always thought the effort and the energy and the motor that you played with was so hard for us to go against, right? Because you were going to play the majority of the snaps, pretty much the entire game, and you were going to go. You didn't take plays off. And that was always one of the hardest things for us to go against. But when you look at a lot of those clips, right, we're trailing, we're down, we've got to push the ball down the field to try and get back in. And that's when you would pin your ears back, man, and get after it.
When you get a lead, you're like, all right, now they have to make these plays.
Yes.
Third and 7, and they're down by 3 or 7, preferably 10. A possession and a half. Like, now you have to make a deep throw. Now you have to go get it. And you can't hide behind boost play actions. Yeah. It's just like, got to go real.
Quick game and play actions don't work in those situations.
Exactly. Like, that's when it gets fun for a defensive lineman. Till then, I'm just biding time, making tackles, playing the run.
Yep.
Feeling, I want to be up by 2 touchdowns and just pinning it back.
That's exactly right. And that was always our game plans, coming into a week playing against you was, we got to try and find a way to play from in front and make not make us one-dimensional. We can't just sit there and be a drop back 5 and 7-step drop back passing team. We've got to be able to run the football. We got to be able to get it out of our hands. We got to believe. We got to make them believe we're going to run the football and make them earn the right to rush the passer. But
and that's why it goes so well, because I believe in stopping the run first. I tell my guys all the time, like, hey, bro, it feels good? A sack, sure. I said, but it feels better when it's 2nd and 12. I was like, let's play this run. Let's get a TFL, first down, second down, stall them out, third down. We can go get it. You third down, which, it sort of brings up my favorite sack off me and you, out of our 23 together. Where it was somewhere in the fourth quarter. Yeah, fumble. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's been times where I thought I had one off you, but you never. Now, this one was perfect. It was the end of the game. You had to hold it. Oh, yeah. Push you out the way. Sorry, big fella. I need that. And I've always wanted to share this moment with you. I said, look, there's been a lot of sacks. There's been a lot of your touchdowns versus our not enough touchdowns and games going up, down, whatever it is. I said, but we had a special moment. I was like, hey, let me get that ball.
You did get it. You also tossed me out of the bar too. I was kind of standing there.
Nobody's ever
like
said
this.
You were a hefty guy,
Yeah, tried to reach back, and you one arm tossed me out of the bar and took the ball.
Yeah,
that was that was a good one for your highlight reel.
Yeah, for you probably like, hey, that's on me, and I look at your offensive lineman like, do better. If he won't say it, I will.
That's on me, man. That's on me. I'll never throw my guys under the bus. That's on me.
You have to say what you have to say, but just know we looked at it. There's been times where like, man, all right, this is our duck. And you like take advantage. And luckily, it's been great that way. I mean, in terms of favorite teammates, do you have any of all time? If I say top 3, because if I give you one, you're going to take 2 or 3 to give yourself space.
Yeah. You know how it goes, right? It's impossible to pick one. I'll say, let me give you the 2 wide receivers. I mean, Roddy White and Julio Jones, 2 of my favorite teammates of all time. Just not only given that they could go out there and play and make plays and were so great, but just awesome competitors, awesome dudes in the locker room. You would love them as teammates. Tony Gonzalez, another one. I'm going to give you 4. Tony Gonzalez in there.
What a great
Tony
guy.
G, Cal guy. You got to love that. He was incredible. And then I'll give you one offensive lineman who's from Louisiana. He went to LSU. Todd McClure. Todd McClure, he was awesome, man. Just old school. We used to call him Mud Duck. That was his nickname for us. So Mud Duck, he was one of my favorite teammates of all time.
I was waiting for offensive line to be thrown in there. I said a quarterback who doesn't love.
No, I loved a lot of them. I loved a lot of them.
Is he a center?
He was a center. Yes.
Okay. There we go. Boom. Yeah, you're under there. You're touching cheeks for 10 years.
That's right.
Golly.
We were close. We were close, Cam.
Rightfully so. I just feel like if a quarterback in the center and you're under center, you know him in depth.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it, well. And I said, at this point, I know they have to have Thanksgiving together. Just somewhere in there, that bond has got to be deeper than real rap. I think, what you've been able to do over your career, bro, has been nothing short of amazing. I mean, the way you used to be able to get the ball off, like I said, it used to be so frustrating. And even though I circle the calendar every time we play the Falcons, I'm like, I know I'm getting at least one. It was there's so many plays I could have had, but you defeated. Like it was the drop back as I'm hitting you, you sort of get the ball off, or even if I'm winning, bro, the way you dice and dice us up like with the quick games. I just be confused. I'm like, bro, this is so frustrating knowing that you have the ability to take over the game, and rightfully so. I mean, now, I don't know how you rate your career. You were able to play with so many guys, but you were the Hall of Famer out your group. You and Julio would be the obvious Hall of Fame choices, right? Like, for you to be there, you elevated play of so many guys.
Well, you're nice to say it. I think Julio's an absolute first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the best to ever do it. And I appreciate you saying all those nice things about me, but I said the same for you. I think your level of consistency from the time you came into the league until right now and it's one of the things I think as I got older as a player, I admired more was people who would come in and perform at a high level and then sustain and then be able to do it with great longevity because it's so hard in this league to be able to do it. My respect for guys like that goes through the roof. And we got to compete against each other so much. I think you're going to be in there, man. I think a gold jack is going to look good with that yellow hair that you got right now, that blonde hair, whatever color it is right now. I didn't get to see it in person last week.
Right now. Yeah, we'll cut it off after season. I'll go back to I need a job.
I think you should grow it back in for when you go into Canton, so it looks good with the coat. I think it'll all match. Maybe even dye up the mustache. It would look good, dude.
That would look crazy. That would look crazy as hell.
But I do think it's one of the coolest things to have the kind of rivalry that the Saints and Falcons have, to have played against you so much and now having gotten to know you after playing, because I didn't know you really, other than an interaction of being on the ground and you laughing or getting excited or whatever up afterwards, but getting to know you and getting to know what you're all about. That part has been special. And there's so much respect for you and for so many of the guys that I competed against in New Orleans.
No doubt. I mean, do you ever go back and just like look at the old film?
No,
Okay.
I don't.
I'm saying, no, I'm just wondering, like, in the retired phase, does that happen? And like, if so, when? Like, man, I had some good games. Like, just like as a pick me up. I don't do coffee, so I assume like one of these days, or I'm like, older in my 40s or whatever, and I'm sitting around like, you know what? Let's turn on this highlight reel and be like, yeah.
So I'll throw this out there. My kids, every once in a while, so I've got 3 young boys. My twins are 7, and I got a 2-year-old son. And my twins are massive into football now, and they don't really remember me playing. Too young at that point. They vaguely remember it, but they're too young. And they'll ask about teammates. And I'll be like, all right, yeah, let's put on a Julio Jones like highlight reel or whatever.
Devontae Freeman in his heyday.
Yeah. And they're like, Dad, that was kind of nice, man. Like that was a nice ball. Like I was like, yeah, I was all right. I was okay.
Your dad used to
every once in a while I go back with them and start watching a few things.
All right, so it's gonna be because of them. Yeah. Luckily, my kids are a little older. I got a 10-year-old and he lives and dies with the Saints, and I got a 9-year-old and she's just getting like carnal knowledge of what she's like. Oh, you're pretty good, Dad. And thanks.
Yes,
that's
cool.
It's dawning on them. Just in terms of like, I'd like to say QB play across, maybe across the league. Now as an analyst, do you start to like subterfuge? Do you like to start directing exactly what you like about a quarterback, what you think he could improve on? Are you a critique? Like, if I walk into a restaurant, I'm judging from the moment I step in. Service was good. Food was good. When I'm watching a game and I try to be an analyst, when I was doing it for the USFL, CFL, they'll be like, oh, did you see the deep ball and the slant route? I was like, yeah, but did you see this trench work? Did you see this 3 technique and the way he was able to swim? Like, how are you able to see? Do you see everything now, or do you specifically like look at quarterback play?
I think we all lean towards the positions we played, right? Like you're not gonna change the way you see football. I think we have so much of our life spent seeing it through our own eyes and our own lens that you lean that way. I do think, after having been done, I've focused a lot more on defensive players and watching them, D linemen for sure, DBs, and even like offensive line play of trying to learn and really look at, how these guys are doing it, why they're doing it so well. And I think I've gotten better in that area, but I think we lean to the things that we love. Right. And for me, that is quarterback play, but I'm always like, I always try and remember how hard it is to be the guy out there doing it, right? It looks a lot easier when you're sitting on your couch or sitting up in the press box, like looking down. It looks a lot easier than it is than when you're actually out there. So I always, try and write down on my notes or whatever. Just don't forget how hard it was, man, because it's not as easy as it looks.
No doubt. But I mean, have you noticed like the evolution of the quarterback? Like for me, when I first got into 2011, we had Cam Newton. That was big, fast and strong. You had Mike Vick. That was, smaller, fast. But now it seems like everybody's mobile.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a prerequisite now to play quarterback in the NFL. You have to be able to extend plays. You have to be able to move. You have to be able to run with the football. Like you said, there were like 4 or 5 different guys that could really move when you first came into the league. And now it's like there's 4 or 5 guys that are pocket passers. And so that shift has definitely had it, has come in the NFL. And it's interesting to see. It's definitely different, but I don't think that's going away, because you see the pressure it puts on the run game, on, 3rd and 5 or less, or 4th and 4 or less. When you have the ability to run as a quarterback, it's game changing.
Mm-hmm. I'll say, and I mean, which leads us back to Atlanta. Oh, I actually said that outright. Okay, perfect. How do you feel about their current quarterback situation? Michael Penix Jr. out, I think, officially as of yesterday.
Yeah, I went on IR, and so it's tough.
Active, and now he's actively out.
Yeah, it's tough. You have a young quarterback that you're trying to develop and get going, and he's still, only 10 or 11 games into it, even though he's in his second year. And now that he's going to miss more time, I think that's difficult on the organization for sure. But it's they bring in Kirk, and I said, that you're not worried as much about the movement and being able to extend. And not that Michael Penix is doing a ton of it, but I think he's more athletic than people give him credit for. He can get out and move a little bit. So, I'm optimistic about Michael in the future. I really am. But, like you were talking about before, it hadn't been the best season on for both of the teams, coming into it. But there's still going to be a little extra juice to it.
Oh, there's going to be all types of sauce added to this game. I think that, it's sort of like, when you were over at Indianapolis, they had the young guy that they wanted to go, and you got a veteran quarterback that can go. I don't understand it sometimes when you you have a certified baller, and you're like, but we could have a baller. If I always thought it was like, in my mind, because maybe it's just me and the way I've always played football, I'm like, your best 11 play. But I've learned now it's all about development as well for young guys through the fire. And I'm trying to understand it. So it's like, when you sort of look at it like, wait, why are we pivoting towards the future when the present is here?
It's hard, and that's the job of a staff and the front office to determine. I think quarterbacks and I think offensive line are 2 of the positions where you really don't get any rotation of players,
right?
And so the decision making on when to develop and when to put them in and when to take somebody, like, I think you have flexibility at these other positions to be able to develop these guys in a rotation. And it just doesn't seem to be, it's not that way for offensive line. It's not that way for quarterback. And I'm like you. I see it out of both lenses, where it's like, hey, we can win right now, and we can do it with this group. But there's also this lens of he's got to cut his teeth at some point, and we feel like he's got the potential to be a great player. So, that's the old saying: if you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. Like you just don't have. So, I don't know. I'm kind of just get one guy and let him ball.
No doubt. And do it early and just like stick with it. Gun with it. Let me figure it out. All right. Let me ask you, of course, about a team you were part of with the Colts being, what are they, 9-2, 8-2 right now, first place in the AFC. What do you think about them winning the Super Bowl run? Out the AFC. AFC's strong right now.
Yeah, the AFC's strong. I think it's also wide open. I think you look at the top of the AFC right now, and I think there's people that you probably wouldn't have expected to be there, right? That don't have recent championship pedigree, whether that's Indy, whether it's Denver, whether it's New England. But you talk about the front runners in that conference, and you're saying, where is Mahomes? Where is Herbert, Lamar Jackson?
Where is Lamar?
Yeah, and Josh Allen's below them as well. So, I do think their team's playing extremely good football. I do think still though, like the Bills and and the Chiefs and even the Ravens are making a way back into it. If they find a way in, they're going to be dangerous in the playoffs because they understand what it takes to win. So I think we're seeing a bit of a changing of the guard, but something in me still says,
I don't know about changing. For me, it's just like a breeze right now. Like,
okay, so it's more of a breeze.
Yeah, the current could get strong, but I'm never going to look at Pat Mahomes or Justin Herbert or Lamar and be like, nah, they can't win anymore.
Yeah. No. They've got the firepower to do it.
Oh man, it's crazy. What about Jonathan Taylor? He's a legit MVP candidate right now, right? Like he's like Saquon last year.
100% he is. Unbelievable teammate, awesome to play with, great dude, great work ethic. You know, those are the things you don't know about players until you're behind the scenes with them and you see them every day. And so it makes it, you root for him even more because of the kind of person that he is. But his production's been outrageous. It's been so good. And really, I think his impact on that team is similar to Saquon's last year, where as a running back, he's put that team on his back and taken them to a height they haven't been in a long time. Absolutely.
Look, I was confused when you saw the tickers a season or two ago when Indianapolis wasn't trying to pay him. I said, what? So what do you? I said, when you have a marquee running back, you give him whatever you want.
Yes.
You see Saquon Barkley and the Giants at year 3, I'd be like, hey, here's this lifetime deal. Like, no matter what you make, like this is what you're making. We'll update accordingly. You get to Jonathan Taylor, you know, the Josh Jacobs, the Aarons, you talk about just what the Saints without AK, just with the limited ability. Bijan Robinson, the moment he touches the field, he makes people around him better.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Like, I don't understand the running back market. We could talk about that part too. Like, the running back market is that low. Like, there's guards making 2 times what a premier offensive guard. I mean, the speed bumps should be.
You tell me, you got to play against both of them.
Speed bumps should not be making what a Ferrari's worth. Like,
Ford F-150 doesn't cost what a Maserati costs.
It just doesn't. There's things that go into it. That's the one right there. Because I'm gonna call him a speed bump every time.
Yeah.
At this point in the season, who separated themselves? We've talked about the AFC, of course, top 3 being Broncos, Patriots, Colts. NFC seems a little bit more muddled.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you know, Philadelphia still playing very good ball. Their defense is balling. I think LA, the Rams are playing really good football. That game between the Rams and Seattle last week was really, really tough. Both defenses are legit.
Didn't see it ended up the way it did.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, Seattle, even with the 4 turnovers for Darnold, still had a chance at the end of that game. And so I think both those teams are really tough. You know, in the South, we'll see if the Bucs can stay healthy. I mean, you've seen them. I think the Bucs are tough, but their health has been, you know, an issue of really contending with some of those top teams. And the Lions have been a little bit inconsistent. So I still think like the Lions have a run in them, given how that team is built. And if they get hot at the right time, you know it, you've been around it for a long time. Getting hot at the right time matters. And they've got enough firepower in that building, if they do, I think, to make a run. So I think the NFC is going to be really interesting.
Jahmyr Gibbs is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Goff dices it up.
Really nice.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think the NFC is a little bit more closer together in terms of a favorite being out there, which I love that for us.
Yes.
You know, I need everybody to keep
come back.
Losing
and
letting us get a comeback.
Yes.
You know, we probably got to go 7 in a row, but you know, God is good.
Yes.
I think there's a way. We're not out, and that's all I can hope for. You know what? Looking back at it, I haven't asked this one. I guess you had the highlight games. You had, you know, my highlights, your highlights. We talked about the Atlanta. Is there a defining game of your career that you look back and be like, you know what? Matt Ryan, Papa Matt showed him why we was on the attack.
Yeah, you know what? I played, you know, I think the bigger games, you know, obviously would have wish we would have won that Super Bowl that we played in, but, you know, led up to come back. But the NFC Championship game before going against Aaron Rodgers, I think was one of the best games I ever played in my life. And so, you know, when you have those opportunities to win a conference championship, to go to a Super Bowl, and you can perform and you can deliver, it's one of the ones I'm most proud of, for sure. But you know, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them I look back on, and you know, some maybe don't have the you know the cachet that some of the bigger games have, but you're like, man, I was doing my thing that night, right? And I was performing, and it might have not been at the gaudiest of numbers, but like I played really, really solid football. But the one I think of is probably that 2016 NFC Championship.
Yeah, that's solid. And this to win the NFC Championship, yeah, gotta do that next year or two.
Get there, man. Go for it.
No doubt, gotta go for
Play
it.
Atlanta in it. That'd be perfect.
I don't like that for me. Because at that point, I probably if we play each other, we probably like 1-1. I don't like that. I want to be a clean sweep, 2-0.
Okay.
I don't like the. Hey, appreciate you, Matt, for tapping in with the podcast. Everything that you've done on the field is highly respected. The way you've taken on the TV airwaves is amazing. We love to watch you on TV, and now that I don't have to deal with you on the field, I've got to find a new favorite quarterback to hit. I don't know who it's going to be. Nobody's going to take your place. I thank you.
Go hit Bryce Young or Baker Mayfield, man. Stay out of Atlanta.
It's not the same. They're small.
I gotcha.
They're not the same. It's bullying.
Number one, thank you for having me on. Number two, you got a future in TV, but keep playing as long as you can, man, because you're still balling.
I appreciate that. Hey, and shout out to the listeners for tapping in. You can find our podcast on iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, all podcast platforms. It's on. Watch us on the NFL YouTube page. The YouTube page. This is Off the Edge with me, your host Cam Jordan, and I'm with my guy Matt Ryan because we're forever indebted. Appreciate you, brother.
Linked.
Peace.